was thinking of getting inspiration from a folklore, a story which is told mostly to Ugandan women growing up, to teach them the ways of housekeeping and to do the chores and to basically keep up the pillars of patriarchy. And so I thought it would be good to respond to this crisis with a familiar story, like Njabala's story. Because the story has been told for so many generations, so the artists had to be willing to leave their comfort zones to respond to this story.
For me, the question was, what is the value of women and how has that changed over time? Because when I investigated that story, it turned out that this was a young girl who was wealthy as an only child, and even when she got married, her husband gave her property. But because she could not do chores and the everyday things, she was chased away from her home and she lost everything. So I started to think about, what is the value of women? Is it the things I can do? Is it my my agency as a person? And how has that value changed over time? Because even today you hear things like, oh, she has a PhD, but she's not married. You know, oh, she can do XYZ, but she cannot do this. So it's like, it doesn't matter what accomplishments you have, either in academics or where, but as long as you're not taking some of these domestic accomplishments, it's like you're still lacking as a human being. Well, the work is inspired by a collection of poems I'm currently writing, because as our culture as Africans, we're very oratory. We like to talk, all this storytelling. So that for me inspired the desire to write poems which I could recite. These works are addressing silence, or the breaking of silence. As you can see, the piece where one of the pieces is called Keeping the Peace, where women, we are always told that we are the ones to maintain peace and calm in a home. So it doesn't matter how conflicted you are, you have to keep putting out these fires, all the things. And for me, I feel like this sort of fosters violence in a way, because it means that one day you will burst, So in trying to put out a fire, you're actually keeping a certain fire alive. And then the other piece, which is called Take a Chill Pill, is about rest as resistance. One of the things you hear, that if a woman rests, if she takes a day off, she's lazy, And when we were growing up, you sit down, don't be lazy, take the plates, sweep the compound. It's like there's that need to see you constantly moving, constantly working. I was imagining what would it look like to almost the exaggeration of what rest looks like, and also the inability to rest. Because as you can see, she's trying to have a glass of wine, but she's also still carrying a basket. So it's that push and pull of when do you rest, how do you rest, is it even acceptable, will you feel okay resting, or you feel guilty resting?
Historically, the art world has been dominated by men, so I celebrate any opportunity when there's a chance for women to participate, for women to tell their stories, for people to view things differently. And already I've seen, I was talking to Dr. Lillian earlier, and her sculptures focus on women. They talk about the impact of HIV and AIDS on women, which affects women differently. So I think that's one of the important things about an event like this, especially on Women's Day, to celebrate the perspective that women bring and to encourage emerging artists as well.
Each piece is about women, issues about surrounding women. You've seen quite a number of them, where these men cannot conceive, and then the problem is for the woman, yet it's not true. So there are so many issues that even when you are married, the bed is never a bed of roses. There are fights. So it is about these issues we don't talk about. And I feel that through this exhibition, we can communicate issues that affect us as women.
What really struck me is the diversity of art. There's sculpture, there's photography, there are visual arts, there's conceptual art, and I think it's a reminder that art isn't one thing, it's many things that's around us. And so, again, that goes back to celebrating the creativity and the ingenuity that we all have, and certainly that we're celebrating today on Women's Day, that aspect of women's what women bring to the table. So I think that's really what I liked here, is just the creativity, and that someone took a chance to celebrate that. And they didn't say, oh, we only want paintings. It's looking at art and how people see the world in its entirety.
I think it being Women's Day and the art that has been showcased has been by women, it's very appropriate, because then we're celebrating women, and also that women rightfully deserve to be in the artistic space, because you're going to find a lot of illustrators, a lot of artists, a lot of conceptual artists are male, but also we have a space for women as well to come and showcase. And you'll always see that when women showcase their art, it's really from a deeper feministic point of view, which is very, very important, to share women ideas through art.
It's important to celebrate women every day, and it's important to encourage the young girls. If they don't see themselves represented, they're not aware of the potential that they have. And so I think that's why days like today, we celebrate women every March for the entire month, but I think it's something we should do every day of the year.
It feels like there is need for these things to happen more and more. And so for me, it's a challenge to aim higher and make this more frequent.